Hello, everyone. Welcome to this video today. My name is Christiana Davidson, and I'm a psychotherapist and hypnotherapist. And my speciality is the narcissistic family system and its impact upon children as they mature into adulthood, and then later on relationships in adulthood and how the patterns repeat. And so the topic today is a very interesting one. I find it fascinating. And it's all about the narcissistic family system and how it is actually a triadic system. So the narcissistic family system, on one hand, is a parent focused system rather than a child centered one. The triadic system is based on, as it sounds, a triangulation. So we're going to explore this aspect of the narcissistic family system today. And I encourage you, if you relate to any of this, please leave a comment or share your experience. It's always so lovely to get some engagement in these videos and to hear your own take on things. So let's explore this a bit more. I mean, when you think of the word triadic, the first thing that jumps to mind for me in terms of relationships is that sort of, two's company, three's a crowd. Hi, Kim. Or, being the third wheel in a relationship. And all of those associations are very apt, actually, for what we're going to look at today. So this term, the triadic family system, it comes from psychoanalytic literature, which I love. And we've got people like Moberly, Bieber, Kronemeyer. They came up with this concept of the triadic system. And in a nutshell, this is what it's about. So on the one hand, in this triangular system, we have an over-involved mother. Over-involved mother on one hand, and on the other hand, we have either a critical or detached father. So there's a disconnect between the overly involved mother and the detached father. So what happens is they bring up a child to form a triangle to dissipate the disconnect between them. So here we have the third wheel in the relationship, or the formation of a crowd. So to put this a bit more clearly, the father is emotionally detached and can even be hostile, can be angry, hostile, highly critical. And so the father in this family system is unsafe. And often he's not even really it doesn't feel like a real part or active part of the family. And many clients come to me and say, well, I didn't even really know who my father was. He was there, but he wasn't there. I never knew him. Then on the other hand, we have the mother who's over involved. She's intrusive, she's possessive and controlling. And she uses one of her children as her confidant, as her surrogate partner. So she's not able to get her needs met in her husband, who's so distant and becomes even more so the more needy she becomes of him. So she turns her attention to one of her children, who she feels she'll be able to make up for the needs she's not getting in her husband. So this child becomes a surrogate partner, and they have this sort of special, intimate relationship where she confides all of her emotional needs to her child. And also coupled with this, and importantly so, is her dissatisfaction with her partner, with her husband. She will talk extensively to the child about how inadequate the father is, or her husband. And she might often actually control the child, the surrogate spouse child, by sort of shaming the child by saying, "Oh, you're just like your father," and that being the ultimate insult, the ultimate shame for the child, to be just like the father. So we have the absent father, that is the detached father, and then we have this over-involved, enmeshing mother. And the child here is usually a child who's quite empathic, maybe a more sensitive type, more introverted, more creative, artistic, intuitive, introverted type. And those qualities are what attract the mother, because she feels here is somebody who's going to be able to meet those needs, those emotional needs that she has. So what happens? Well, the father prefers to keep his distance from his wife. She's emotionally draining for him. She can often be very critical. She can't be pleased, and is very needy. So, as a substitute, or as a way of being able to not have to deal with that, he offers a child as a surrogate spouse in his place to manage his wife's needs. So he's also complicit in this. He's quite happy to offer one of his children to take on the role that he should have been doing. The mother then invests herself completely in this child, and this child becomes her world. She enmeshes with them instead of, with the husband. And it's perfect because she's able to mold the child, she can control the child, she can make them, groom them into the perfect source of emotional supply that she needs, emotional regulation, a perfect little partner, perfect little husband for her. She's possessive and engulfing, and if there is an argument between husband and wife, between her and her husband, because of her molding, because of her grooming, the child automatically empathizes with her, and can only feel her hurt and pain. And as a result, a greater rift forms between the child and the father. The father is seen as the persecutor. I don't know. I mean, this type of toxic relationship has such huge ramifications for the developing child. There's no room for this child to go through the healthy separation phase that it needs to go through in order to become an individual. That is not possible. That is robbed of the child. And it's a very, very selfish system, as you can hear here. The child is used to hold everything together by both mother and father. And as a result, children who have been in this role, this surrogate spouse role in the triadic system, they will go on to experience other triadic relationships throughout the rest of their lives. This will often be part of the pattern, the WTF pattern, that continues throughout their lives. They'll often be brought in as a surrogate emotional support in the relationship of two other people. But also, if we think about this, if a child is brought in as a surrogate spouse with a parent, this also has a huge impact on their developing sexuality, their own sense of themselves as a sexual being, because the spousal role has that aspect to it. So there is a sexual element in this relationship. So the boundaries are completely violated. And the child knows it and feels it. So on the one hand, they don't feel safe with the father because he's sort of unknown and he's the predator or the persecutor. And on the other hand, they may feel privileged in their role as surrogate spouse and almost better than the father because of this, but they also don't feel safe because there's a sexual element here that is sort of, it's icky. You can't really put words to it, but it's there. So neither relationship is safe. It's slightly different for girls who are brought into that role. If it's a daughter and a mother, that can be very confusing for the daughter, that she's sort of a replacement husband, and that can cause confusion. And for the son, the rejection of the father has a huge impact on his developing sexuality as well. There's a sense of being cast out by the father, which leads him to anger, not only against his father, but also against the engulfing mother. I hope this was helpful in some way. I find it very insightful because when we combine the triadic system with the narcissistic system, it really creates quite a clear picture of how these systems are so incredibly abusive to children. And the impacts later on in adulthood are quite profound. But that's where I love to do the work I do. It's just once we get an understanding of things, it can really, really help in the healing process because it's not as confusing as it often feels. And I highly recommend anyone who has been through this to find a therapist, not only me, but, find somebody who gets it, because that can be such a lifeline, and is what you've always needed, was somebody to come in and shine a light on it so that you can let go of any shame you might have or any sense of it being your fault or something wrong with you, because it's not. It's the system you were brought up in. And it's time that we get you out of it, so that you can be free and separate and leave your parents' marriage and issues to them to sort out, because it was never your job, and it certainly isn't now. Okay, thanks everybody. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Kim, thank you so much for your comments here. Yes, what you say here, neither relationship is safe for children, and it's very confusing to grow up with parents like that. It completely is, because you don't actually have parents. You're trying to be a parent yourself. And yeah, so if you have any comments, if you're watching on YouTube, please do share them, and I will try to respond to them as well. Okay, thanks everybody. Do reach out if you'd like to work with me. My Calendly link is at the bottom. Take care. Bye now.